For our next session that we're going to be starting with this morning, as I mentioned, everything is going to be in here today. We're going to be starting with somebody who, I've known for a really long time and had a story that's very similar to many of yours. He has started and exited on several businesses already in the franchise space. He started at a very, very, very young age, and franchising to him, he felt was a way to, actually make meaningful wealth for his family. He, this next guest that we're going to be having on joked that he could have a kid that could be attending this at this point. He claims that he's not young enough to be here, but he very much is, of course. But I am very, very excited to introduce my good friend Scott Abbott to the stage for our keynote. Scott, come on up.
We'll do it after this. Thank you. Is this for me?
Yep.
All right. Okay, one of those like slide clicker things. Who's got one of those? All right. I've had the pleasure of attending so many of these kinds of events. I've never made it to YoungCon because, if you can see my beard, it is very gray. It represents every franchise agreement I've ever sold. I'm not even kidding. I do have 5 kids, so I've one child that has contributed more than most of them to the gray hair that I do have. But I was just, before we started here, I was just catching up with Lane, and he's like, well, why haven't you been to this? I'm like, I'm too old for this thing. I'm not young like the rest. And then Lane starts complaining about his hip he just replaced recently. And I'm talking to him about my heart test I just had recently done. I admit I'm definitely not on the YoungCon cool kid crowd any longer, but I did come from that crowd from years ago. And I need to say thank you to Lane and Brad. Probably about 14, 15 years ago, I think was that ski trip in Utah. And back then it was like, there was like 15, 20 of us, and it was just a bunch of dudes and women hanging out, going skiing and snowboarding, and it was just awesome. I have never missed one unconference. In fact, I'm the only person to have hosted an unconference. Lane's one year, he's like, I can't do it, this COVID thing, there's too much going on. I'm like, Lane, I just want to go snowboarding. So we did a kind of limited edition version of the unconference with about 60 people. Okay, so they asked me to talk about 5-Star, the story, where we came from, and I'll do my best to do that. For those of you who don't know, I'm the CEO and founder of 5-Star Franchising. 5-Star Franchising has 6 brands and a consumer experience solution called Pronexus. I'll just kind of go through those really quick to get a sense of the company we have today. We have about 1,000 franchisees within about 1,500 territories. We're in, top left is blinds, window coverings, that's Gotcha Covered Blinds. They're based out of Denver. We've got Mosquito Shield, bottom left. Yeah. Mosquito Control, Pest Control. Bio1, which is like really sexy. Some of you know what this business is all about, don't you? So if you're my age and your grandma passes away and she lives alone, it's called an unattended death. I've learned about this. When that happens, someone has to come and clean up. That's Bio1. It's super interesting business. These franchisees, man, they are into it. I have conversations with them, like they'll tell me all the time, Scott, we need to get you in one of these, like, they have these tape-up outfits with like Tyvek and stuff. They want to see me cleaning up a dead body. I'm like, I will never, ever do that. But I love that you're doing it. And then over like we're at a buffet eating, right? And they'll be like, yeah, but we make $1,000 an hour. Okay, I might do it. I don't know. For $1,000 an hour. Then we've got Card My Yard. We've got about 500 franchisees. They enhance. It's like we celebrate. We take care of people that die, and then we celebrate births. I mean, it's kind of funny. We're on both sides of the spectrum here. Bath Solutions. We started that business in 2012 in Canada, then expanded in the United States. It's like a one-day bath concept. And then last we have Packouts, which does if there's a fire or a flood, somebody comes in, pack outs your content, puts it in storage, and then allows you to get your house renovated before they pack it back in. And then Pronexus is our home service customer experience solution. Pro stands for Home Service Professional, and Nexus means to connect. And we supply about 50 or 60 brands in the home services industry, and some of our clients are actually here. So thank you for choosing Pronexus. Okay, let's see. The story. We're all here because of a hero. If you're in franchising, this is what makes the entire engine work. And so we made a video about our hero for your entertainment.
I'm keeping morale up in this place. Like, do you see the color in this place? It's because of me. Well, I heard they gave his parking space to someone in a county. I'm the one walking around all day. Don't shoot the messenger.
This is the Gold Bomb report. You remember this? If you look up in the dictionary, horribly bad, it's going to be your face and the Gold Bomb report together. And now I've been waiting for the Simpson report since, I don't know, last Thursday. I think I had dark hair when I asked for the Simpson report. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, tack, 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 tack. Hello? Anybody home? Anybody home? Is Johnny home? Is anybody going to talk to me? I'm having pains in my chest. What are you doing busting into my office like this? I'm the one in charge. You have work to do. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Who are you?
Yeah. Don't shoot the messenger.
I'm having pains in my chest as a result of you.
Isn't that awesome? You see the cameo? Man, can I bite an apple? I'm so good at that. That was actually a ton of fun. I love being on that set, just filming that. But you just go to the next one here. That's who makes our business work, is the person who's just dreaming about, well, frankly, hates their job, and then dreams about owning or buying a business and building something for themselves. And we are all about empowering those people. In fact, it's our mission to empower our franchise partners in the home services industry. These are the 25 companies I've either started, bought, sold, or invested in. And so what I want to try and do today is give to you as much knowledge as I can from my 20 years of experience in franchising. Five Star Painting was the first business I started in 2004. And I learned more than anything else that I had to absolutely obsess about the customer experience. If I could master the customer experience, I'd excel in the industry. And we did. We excelled and grew very, very quickly. My investment in Neighborly and Authority Brands, both of those taught me the power of a platform and what happens when you have the right private equity partner and what can be achieved when you work together in that way. I was at an unconference. You know, we're all dressed up in like snow gear, snowboards and skis. This is in Park City. And David Barr, who will help you go far, was doing a presentation on the valuation of businesses. And he got pretty theoretical, actually, on the net present value of all cash flows. And if any of you guys have done an undergrad in finance or anything like that, he got pretty granular in exactly how businesses are valued. And what he was saying was actually very, very accurate. If you spend enough time with people in suits at private equity funds, that is what they think about. But what I hear about very, very often, because I'm in the business of buying businesses, I'm a platform and I'm actively acquiring home service brands. I get asked very frequently, what's my business worth? And how do you kind of arrive at the value of a business? And so what I wanted to show you is something that's kind of interesting. This is a chart, for those of you who like numbers. 2013 to 2023, there's three cohorts you're looking at here. The top cohort is the top quartile of multiples of revenue traded on SaaS companies in 10 years, in a decade. The middle cohort is the average, the median, and then the bottom is the bottom quartile. Now, what's interesting is two things for me, two takeaways I'd have from this. One is sometimes the market gets extremely irrational, right? Like, people were paying 33 times revenue at one point in the early 20s, 22s, 21s, 22s. That's crazy, and if that ever happens, you should sell, because it is insane. The second thing I noticed, and should be noticeable, is that there's a huge difference between those who received a 35 times multiple and a person who received a 6 times multiple, right? Like there's a massive difference, a 5x difference in value that was created. So the question is, how do you create value in an organization or in a brand? And so what I was asked to do is to kind of go through brick by brick. How do I create value? How have I created value at 5-star companies or 5-star brands and at 5-star painting? And so I'm going to attempt to do that using really the 5 C's of our brand promise at 5-star franchising. The things that we commit to, anyone that buys a franchise of a 5-star brand, what am I committing to them that they'll get from our company? First is commitment. And what I want to do with this is kind of share with you a quick origin story. I think we all have these. Where do we come from? How do we start? How do we get into this business? So I'm going to take us back, all the way back to when I could have come to Young Conference at that time in my life. I was like early 20s, doing my undergrad in finance and marketing. And I think you guys are doing a Shark Tank, right? Well, in my undergrad, they had Shark Tanks as well. And it was business plan competitions. And I was in this class where my professor was asking me to enter into this competition. It was first in Manitoba, then we went to British Columbia, then Idaho. We kind of toured. And the whole idea was to bring your university honor by winning in these competitions. And I went to the professor and I said, well, I've got this idea of creating a national painting brand. And he literally laughed at me. He's like, that is the stupidest idea ever. Like, that'll never win in a business plan competition. You know, I love professors, right? He's like, create a tech company. That's where it's at. And so I listened to him, and we created a tech company, and we actually, idea in a business plan, all theoretical, and we won all kinds of competitions, and I won a lot of money, and I didn't do anything with it. And the reason why is, when I think about, have you guys ever watched the movie Roadhouse? Who's seen that movie so far? Isn't that awesome? First of all, Jake Gyllenhaal is freaking shredded. If you haven't seen it, that guy is like a beast. He inspired me. I've lost 12 pounds since I watched that movie. I'm not even kidding you. I haven't hit in the gym hard since watching that movie. Second is, he fought Conor McGregor. Now, I don't know about you, but let's just pretend for a second you could choose who will be your supervillain, the guy you will have to fight. Are you going to choose Conor McGregor or someone you could actually beat? Now, spoiler alert, it ends well. Jake wins. But when I started thinking about getting into business for myself, the last thing I want to do is go up against some tech titan who's got $100 million in funding and try and compete and outwin that person. I want to find someone that I can win against. That, in fact, I have an unfair advantage against. That's what I'm looking for. So when my co-founder, his name's Chad Jones, I've known this guy since he was 11 years old. We've been best friends forever. We play soccer together, still to this day. And he came to me at a friend's wedding, and he was complaining about, he had this little basement renovation company and painting company. And he had big visions, and he tried expanding this business from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. By the way, I'm from, any Canadians in this room? Oh, yeah. All right, we got 5 of us. You know what's cool about Canadians? We always know if someone's Canadian, if they're famous. Like, whenever there's someone, oh, yeah, he's a Canadian. We always know that. We're very desperate to hold on to that those shining stars. But this friend of mine, Chad, he came to me and said, I'm trying to expand from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, to Calgary, Alberta, and then Saskatoon, and then Vancouver, and every single one of those expansions failed. The manager stole our customers. The manager stole our money. The painters screwed up, and our customers hated us. It was just like over and over and over again. And as he was telling me this, I was thinking, man, I think we could solve this problem if I just get to the main issue, which is they're not committed enough. The people who are starting those locations weren't committed. So I said, Chad, I think if we build a business that was franchised in the painting industry, we could actually build something special. And I went to work and I started researching. This was in 2003, actually, was the wedding. 2004 is when we started the business. And I went to work researching what the consumer experienced when they tried hiring a painting company. And I literally called over 6 months 1,000 painters myself, and I documented what happened in those interactions. And back then, in 2004, almost everyone acquired their customers from the Yellow Pages, so I would just go through and call them all and record what happened. 20% painters answer their phone. So they'd spend $10,000 to $20,000 a month on an ad and only answer the phone 2 out of 10 times. So for me, it's like, that's the villain I want to fight. Like if I'm going to choose someone to fight against and battle against, it's the guy that doesn't know how to answer their phone. The simplest thing you could ever do is just answer your phone. And so that became really the premise for the whole 5-star painting concept. And the big takeaway is, choose your battles wisely and be very, very focused on what you can do differently other than the competition to really have a leg up over your competitors. The other thing that I mentioned is, obviously, we chose franchising as the vehicle to bring 5-star painting to the homeowner. This is what we call the 5-star promise. It's what every franchisee of any 5-star brand commits to doing when they become part of a 5-star brand or family brand. And what I've found is that, and I've said this before to private equity people as well, I could be a horrible manager or an amazing manager. At the end of the day, it is raining in here. That is awesome. It's raining in here. Okay. All right. Make it rain. That was distracting. There's water literally falling from the roof. No. Oh, we got to call Bio One. They can come in here and they can clean that thing up. Yes, seriously. That's awesome. This isn't the first time this happened to me. I was in Caesar's Palace in a suite at a convention for our brand, and literally someone on the 19th floor flooded their bathroom, and it went all the way down, every single floor through our suite. We were like on floor 10, and water was still going down. Oh, it sucked. Bio One. They called Bio One to fix that kind of problem. So what we found is that when someone bought a franchise, they are absolutely committed. In many cases, I'd say 9 out of 10 times, the franchisee has bet their life savings and all their energy and effort in making that business successful. It's why the model is so amazing and why I love it so much, because I know I got people committed. And when they're committed, and they're committed to this philosophy, then we have an amazing customer experience. So we measure actively how well we're achieving our promise to our customers. For over 4,000 customers last year gave us a 4.9 out of 5-star review on Google, which is absolutely incredible. Yeah, please give me some applause. Thank you. Thank you. Thank the franchisees because they're doing it. But my point is that despite whether I'm a good or bad manager, franchisees will do everything in their power to win. And that's why I absolutely love the model. I think that's why you guys are all in this business model as well. Second, communication. I have seen so many problems happen from just poor communication in franchising. It's not said properly, it's not said enough, it's not said with the right words. When you think about, as human beings, the average person knows about 35,000 words in our vocabulary. A dog knows about 150. Fun fact. So it's what makes us unique, and is our ability to communicate and represent and present information in a way that's very meaningful to people. And how you say things is actually very, very important. So one of the things I learned in this regard is how important it is to actually communicate to the world what you stand for and who you are. This is 5-Star Drive is our value system. We spent a very long time actually, in fact, being very obsessed about exactly what words we will use to describe the people that work at 5-Star. And then what do those words mean? And then how can I use those words to attract the right people to the organization? Now, I've done this right and I've done this wrong. And I've actually I've seen my words used against me. In other words, I was not intentional enough about using the words in my value system, and I did not include enough people in the process to get buy-in that effectively our mission statement or our value statement was actually something that someone would use against me as a franchisee or as an employee, because it wasn't actually true to who we were. So when we went to this process, this was about 2 years ago, we spent a lot of time and effort thinking about the entire organization, all of the A players, And we'd put those A players in our organization. We have about 200 employees right now. We put them at the top of a whiteboard, and we just name them. And then we said, okay, well, now we're going to start describing who those people are. Who are the people we are currently attracting to the organization? And then let's get aspirational. Who do I need to attract to the organization? And then how do we put that in a phrase that everyone will always remember? Now, what I found by doing this is a couple of things. One, you, in my view, in my experience, having a values-driven organization is super beneficial. It tells everyone before they come into the organization who you are. In fact, it is said often that you need to say things 7 times, 7 different ways. So not only should I be saying what we stand for, but I have to find more and more ways to actually affirm what we stand for. And then I have to make sure that I'm actually doing things to confirm to the people in the organization that we actually do stand for those things. So as an example, I do the last interview for every single employee in our organization that's hired. And we're hiring between 2 and 3 people a week right now. We're 2,300% larger today than we were 3 years ago. We're growing at like 500% a year. It's very, very fast. It's very hard to actually manage. And the reason I do that last interview is, one, I want to meet the people during the organization, but I actually spend a lot of time making sure that the prior interviews that happened, which are usually 2 to 3, that every single executive that was in that interview process actually reviewed the values with that candidate. Because if they didn't, then they haven't bought in to what we stand for as an organization. And so those kinds of things are really important. In fact, I'll just give you an example of one of the 7 ways we actually try and communicate to everyone in the organization what we stand for. This is it's a virtual version of a desk stand. And each of those little circles represent a coin that we've made. And so there's 5 values in the organization: driven, real, innovative, vital, and enthusiastic. And every quarter, we have a town hall where I stand up in front of all the team members and I start to read stories of how someone in the organization has lived one of our values, and they get a values award, which includes a coin that goes in a little collector thing. So on their desk, they've got 5 spots that are empty when they first get it. And their objective is to fill and collect all 5 of the coins that represent one of those 5 values. It's gimmicky, but it's another way of saying what I have to say 7 times, 7 different ways to make sure the organization absolutely understands and embraces this. I wanted to share with you the power of what this can achieve. So ever since, I'm not going to say this is 100% the reason why, but I will say that the focus of the organization upon being driven and having drive became so important that we started attracting different kinds of franchisees as well, who this resonates with. And I was just talking earlier with someone at the table about a franchisee in 2023, and I've been in franchising for 20 years, right? So about 2004, about 20 years. A franchisee last year achieved $3.2 million in revenue in his first year. $3.2 million is a lot of money. I don't know what franchise concepts you all are involved in, but in my experience, we used to get rookies of the year would do like $500,000, and we would high five over that. This person did $3.2 million in their very first year. And it's because, and all I can attribute this to is we are now attracting people to our organization who are very, very driven. They're not just satisfied with a company that can replace a paycheck. They're building an empire. They're building something much larger. So it has had a huge impact on the organization. Connectivity and technology. This is, first of all, before I get into this story, is there anyone in this room from First Service? Okay, good. So no one here worked at CertaPro? Nobody? Okay, okay, good. Is this being recorded? Yes. It is. Charlie, good to see you, buddy. Charlie actually he's a champ. The guy's amazing. I competed with him as 5-Star Painting for years. I want to say that I have a lot of respect for their organization, for their people. It's an amazing company. So by no way take what I'm about to tell you as anything else other than complimentary. In fact, I think the term is plagiarism is its highest form of flattery. So R&D stands for rip off and duplicate. So I call 1,000 painters. I find out 20% answer their phones. I commit to getting into painting. The next thing I do is research to find out who's number 1 in my space. Well, it's CertaPro. It's pretty simple. So what do I do? I still have the letter somewhere. I literally copied their exact website. Like, I had my programmer scrape the entire thing. And then I had him put it up on a new domain. I can't believe I did this. And then I changed the logo on it from CertaPro to Paintworks, a company that was non-existent, that I just made up. And then I created another website for 5-Star Painting, which was the brand that I was building. And then I did everything the way I thought I should do it. If I wanted to attract the right customer and get their attention, then I needed to make sure that I had a new way of approaching the consumer. So for a full year, even though I got letters from CertaPro saying cease and desist, for a full year, I actually ran 2 companies side by side, and I put tracking numbers on both businesses. And then I placed ads, and I literally took CertaPro's ad and just put Paintworks on top of it, and then placed that ad with a tracking number. And then beside it, I put 5-Star Painting. And in Winnipeg, Manitoba, for a full year, I tracked both those campaigns to know exactly how many calls I would get on the 5-Star Painting method versus how many calls if I was CertaPro. And I had 4 times the call volume over CertaPro. Now, we had some secret sauce in how we did things, some call to actions in the ads. There was things we did in the Yellow Page ad that was very, very effective. That phone number was only on those Yellow Page ads. So if that phone rang, is because they saw that ad. And so it's when I actually realized I had something. I had something that was actually special. And we began, in fact, accidentally, I sold my first franchise because he saw our ad and asked me if I was a franchise, and I sold it. Not Paintworks, 5-Star Painting, clearly. Paintworks died at the end of that year. It was gone, and we just flushed it. But we learned a lot from that whole process. But what I'm trying to say is, R&D doesn't have to be coming up with things all on your own in a vacuum. There are a lot of great companies out there that can help you learn, and you can rip off and duplicate things from to become better. In fact, that's why I think these events are amazing. You should be R&Ding from other brands that you learn from here, what they're doing that's working, and why you should be at these events. They're a huge opportunity. Next is this idea of having, I'm sure many of you have heard of Kaizen before. It's this idea of continuous improvement. I just want to walk you through a living example of Kaizen at 5-Star Painting and now Pronexus and all the 5-Star brands. So if we knew the problem in 2004 was that only 20% of painters answered our phones, the obvious solution would then be answer the phone 100% of the time, and you would have 5 times the amount of business, right? So that was simple. Create a call center, focus on making sure the phone's always answered. In fact, I was so obsessed about making sure the phone was answered. I think it was for almost 4 years, my cell phone was like the rollover if my agents didn't answer the phone. So I would literally take calls on behalf of franchisees and just get the information in and try and help them sell the job. That's how obsessed I was about it. I would sit there and I would calculate the value of the phone ringing. So, in other words, if 10 phone calls equaled 3 estimates equaled 1 job, and the average job was $2,500, then every phone call is worth $250. So I actually would give to my entire team the value of the phone ringing. So if you saw the phone ring and it was not answered, it's like saying, I don't want $250. That's how obsessed I was about it. I would take polls and I would go through all of our jobs and find out how they found us. And I'd find every year the largest dollar value job that we received off of 1 phone call. And I'll never forget this because one year our franchisee got $400,000 in a paint job off of 1 phone call. They just called in off a Yellow Page ad or whatever, a PPC ad or something. $400,000 off of 1 phone call. And I would tell our entire team, that phone ringing, it is on average worth $250, but it could be $400,000. That's how intense we got about answering the phone. Well, answering the phone was one way to differentiate us from the rest of painters, which we did very successfully. But then answering the phone turned into answering your email, which then turned into answering your text, which then turned into allowing for immediate and online scheduling, which turned into chat abilities, and which then turned into, can we now have a local number always show up when we outbound dialed people, which then turned into, can we integrate with every single lead gen provider that exists so that it ingests into our system automatically and then automate all the outbound dials, which then turned into, can we stop calling on the hour and call 5 minutes before the hour, because meetings always start on the hour. And every step of the way, we have an analyst sitting there trying to figure out when is the optimum time to call, to receive a call, when is the most business come in, and we are constantly improving this cycle. It's never ending. And now I was at dinner last night with Tony and Ben. We're talking about AI, and it's like, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The opportunity is bigger and bigger and bigger. So as a brand and as a company, this idea of having continuous improvement is critical. And this philosophy can be applied to, anything really, franchise development included. Creativity. I'm a franchisee as well. I actually bought a franchise. Anyone here from LA Mental Health by chance? No? Okay, great. So I own a mental therapy franchise. For all the franchises I sold, I have to go there and get help, right? And it helps, actually. But one of the things I know as a franchisee and I know as a franchisor is I buy and franchisees buy because they want a better way of doing things. In fact, I would actually argue that value creation is when you give somebody something that they could do on their own, but would be either cost prohibitive or time prohibitive. Like, they could go buy an amazing ad campaign and invest in that and figure out what does or does not work and spend $250,000 on that. Or they could buy a franchise that's done all that themselves and has figured out exactly what is working and can hand them, here's the recipe to what works. So in my view, being creative is absolutely critical. We need to provide to our franchisees tools that they couldn't buy on their own, that they can now use in the marketplace to achieve above average success. So I want to share with you an example of one of those things that we just did. I absolutely love this Captain America pillow he's got. You ready?
All right, troops. Summer in all of its glory is upon us. But with great sunshine comes great responsibility. Now we are about to embark on a battle with the winged invaders that have claimed our backyard as their own. Now, will we let our picnics be plundered?
No!
Will we let our barbecues be besieged?
No!
Well, then let's get out there and show those mosquitoes that we mean business!
You don't have to go to battle with mosquitoes this season. With Mosquito Shield, you get season-long coverage. Our approach gets rid of existing mosquitoes while preventing new ones from entering your property, creating a reinforced barrier that gets stronger with every visit, keeping those buzzing pests away from your fun. Win the backyard battle this summer. Call Mosquito Shield today.
Isn't that awesome? Isn't that hilarious? I love that. Maddie, good to see you. Oh my gosh. So as full disclosure, I love this ad the most because I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Anyone else here from Winnipeg? If you are from here, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We need a bond. We have a therapy session afterwards to talk about this. The provincial bird in Manitoba is the mosquito. They are massive and they are blood-sucking and they are. In fact, one of my funnest things I've ever had happen in private equity is I live at Falcon Lake, actually, every summer from June through August. And we do a retreat there. We fly up all of our executives. We spend time having fun, a little bit of planning. And in 1 year, I actually invited the Princeton Equity Group, so one of the founding members and their team. Joseph, are you here? Okay, good. Joseph is one of the guys from Princeton, so I can tell this story even have more fun with it. So all these guys in suits are there, and we're all hanging out in the cabin, and the mosquitoes are horrible. I mean, like if you breathe in, you would breathe in mosquitoes. And we had Mosquito Shield sprayed all around our cabin. And we had this like dome of protection, kind of like, Wakanda. Like there's a dome of protection over our cabin. Mosquitoes would not come in. But if you left that dome of protection, God it's over. It was just over. We just, you could hear the bagpipes playing as these people. And so Doug, who is one of the founders, we want to convince him how amazing Mosquito Shield is. This is the best way ever. He's at the cabin. This is amazing. There's like no mosquitoes here. We went golfing. He was like drinking mosquito repellent to try and avoid, somehow, if I ingest it, can I somehow keep them away from me? It was, absolutely horrible. Well, Mosquito Shield has grown tremendously. This kind of creativity allows us to provide value to the franchisees. And as a franchisee, this is the stuff I'm looking for. It's one of the commitments we make as a brand. We want to do things for franchisees, once again, that they cannot do for themselves, or if they could do for themselves, it'd be cost prohibitive or time prohibitive. So I'm going to end with this, the last part of, I think, our duty, our responsibility as a franchisor is community. I can't stress how important this is. I don't think it is. I don't know if we all understand how valuable this is, other than when I see it in real life action. So we have, obviously, franchise advisory committees. There's an advisory committee for our annual convention. There's technology committees. Franchisees love being involved, love being part of a committee. They love coming up on the stand and talking about how great their business is with their franchisees. Franchisees love learning from franchisees. It's actually where all the action happens. It's like, we're here, we're learning from our community because we belong to a community, we can learn from each other. That's far more effective than to hear someone in a business plan competition talk about something at a university or something. So I think it's our duty to provide a community. But I think beyond, not just that, but the power of franchising is actually building a network of franchisees. So when you've got 1,000 owners in home services, what can those 1,000 owners do that one owner cannot? All the buying power that exists within that cohort is absolutely incredible. You have to leverage it. If you're not leveraging it, please, I beg you, do leverage it. In fact, I want to give you an example of how powerful this was and for us in the very early days. When 5 Star Painting was launched, we only had, a couple franchisees. I think we had 3 or 4 locations. We were doing maybe $2 million a year, maybe $2.5 million a year. We weren't of any size or consequence. But we had a vision for what we could achieve, and I was able to sell that vision to one of our suppliers. And I convinced them to give me a pricing discount that was, frankly, extraordinary. In fact, I would actually argue that it actually helped me sell almost all my franchises. What I would do is, if a candidate ever came in, I'd say to them, okay, listen, you're about to get into the painting industry. I teach them all about the industry. And I'd say, I need you to walk down to your local Sherwin-Williams or Glidden or PPG and negotiate the best possible supplier pricing you could get on your paint for your business. And after they've done that, I'd come back and I'd give them our pricing list. And it represented about a 30% discount over what they could get on their own, because I convinced suppliers that we were going to become one of the preeminent brands in painting, national brand, and we qualified for that pricing. So by doing that, I actually could show tangibly how their royalty of 5% could actually achieve them savings of 30% on all their materials and their supplies. So I think kind of the last message I would leave is that the more tangible you can make things, the more obvious you can show anyone that's buying a franchise or is a franchisee that you are providing more in value to them than the 5% or 7% they're paying in royalties, then you are actually providing value in a way that's meaningful. So thank you for your time, everyone, and I'm here for the next couple hours if you want to ask any questions.
All right, everybody. I'm kind of tempted to do a slip and slide up here. I don't know if anybody has seen, but there is some water situation going on. So we are getting that taken care of. So in addition to that, so we are going to be transitioning now after Scott's really, really great keynote to some panels that we're going to be doing. So we need to get the chairs for those. So that's going to take about 5 to 10 minutes or so. So we're going to let you guys have a bathroom break. But before we do, I wanted to let Maddie, one of my committee members, come to the stage very quick. Maddie?
I'm losing my voice mostly because of last night, but also because all of my shitty kids gave me strep throat. How many of you in here know Mary Thompson from Neighborly? Show of hands. She recently just announced that she will be leaving Neighborly after 18 years and going over to head up BNI. But I think that she deserves a congratulations standing round of applause. So I'm going to take a video on 3. If you guys can just yell congratulations, stand up, give her a round of applause. I think it's going to do a little bit more than a LinkedIn comment for all she's given to franchising. If you guys are cool with that, I assume. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Thank you, Mary. We love you.
All righty. Thank you, guys. Okay, so we are going to be taking about a 5, we'll call it 10-minute break. So 10:40.